Hello and welcome to another edition of Santos on Sports. I am Paul Santos, joined alongside here by my partner in crime, Mr. Chris Santos. If you'd like to get in on our discussion, give us a call at 774-218-3393. Happy to be sponsored by Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John B. Seed. So, Chris, what's going on with the Red Sox? They were supposed to be over 500. They were supposed to be battling for the last wild card. And every night they lose. They lose in the ninth inning. They lose in the 10th inning. It's a close game, but they can't get over the hump. Something's not right. What's happening?
You mean this team over my shoulder right here that we're watching right now in another 8-8 game in the seventh inning? So, yeah. Listen, Paul, there's been a lot of talk since this has gone on from the beginning of the Boston Red Sox season. And there is no way you can pinpoint one thing about the Boston Red Sox. This has to be a cumulative amount of things that people will say, well, it's this, and other people say it's this, and other people say it's this. Let's start with, obviously, your starting pitching. You talk about your relief pitching. You can talk about the errors they're making. You can talk about the most strikeouts in baseball that they're doing. You can talk about plate discipline, swinging at bad pitches. You can do so many things with this team, and I don't think you can pinpoint one specific thing. I think it's just a whirlwind right now that Alex Cora is trying to find out. He's trying to put a lot of people in different positions. Trying to find a lineup, trying to make everyone happy. And at the same time, as you can see in the background, they gave up another run and they could be losing again today. So I can't pinpoint one thing, Paul. I just think it's just a cluster of stuff for this team, unfortunately. And it starts with the top. Is the organization from then saying, hey, we want to get, Trevor Story. We wanted to get Casas. We only have Devers at DH. Here's our starting pitching. And we picked up this, and this, and this. Here's our relievers. We went get this, and this. And so there's a lot going on. But it's the Boston Red Sox. It's not what people around here expect. It used to be like that. It's not anymore. And they want more things. Hey, as an Orioles fan, my team's not doing any better. So Red Sox, Orioles, and Rockies are the bottom three teams in Major League Baseball in team ranks. So it's not too good right now for my team and obviously this team. So what do you think, Paul, is going wrong here?
Well, I'm just looking at the comments. We already got a comment from Jared Pont that says, stop crying. So, yes, I guess us Red Sox fans are kind of crying in our beer at the moment.
Yep.
We don't expect a lot of things. But I think if you look at the beginning of the season, odds makers out there in Vegas thought that the Red Sox would be the third wild card, would be a number of games over 500, but there are a number of games under 500. But before we break down, the starting pitching's been pretty good. The final reliever in the ninth inning has been pretty good. It's that middle relief that most teams have trouble with, where the Red Sox have lost a lot of games. They've run into a lot of outs on the bases. They're making a lot of mistakes. But here's the thing, right? Here's kind of like the elephant in the room about Rafael Devers, right? Now, I know you've been on a lot of teams. I have not, but, my sons were athletes, and I know you've been an athlete your whole life. Team morale can make such a difference when you're losing games by one run all the time. And it just seemed pretty upsetting that at the beginning of the season, and I went down to spring training and he wasn't even there. Rafael Devers, your best player, the face of the franchise, he wanted to be the third baseman. Now, maybe they did lie to him and say, hey, we're signing you to be the third baseman. And then when they brought Bregman in, it was kind of offensive to him to be asked to move or to go to DH. And, of course, you didn't want to go to DH. You stormed off. They brought out Big Papi to talk to him, probably the greatest DH of all time, right? Could get into the Hall of Fame as a DH, and will, I'm sure he will. He goes down there and talks him into it, and finally he agrees to be the DH. So then after that, we have a couple injuries, and it's like, hey, Ref, you want to go back to the field? Nope, well, you told me I was DH now, I mean, so now other guys are looking at this, and they're like, okay, well, who's going to play first? Casas got hurt. I don't know. Who's going to play third? Oh, I don't know. Now we're putting players in there that are really out of position. And even though Rafael Devers is looking at it like, well, you told me I stunk at third base. That's why you get the other guy. Well, we're not saying you stunk. We're just saying that this guy is Gold Glove better. That's all. Now that he's out, you want to do what's best for the team. Step in there and play. And here's the thing: such difference from when you and I were kids, right? The manager says, I'm putting you at third base. You go to third base. That's it. Why do they have to ask him permission? They have to ask the player permission if he'll go to third base or go to first base. So now you can say, well, that's not that big a deal. But how would you like to be a lot of these other guys who are like, hey, today, Chris, you're playing third. Oh, no, wait a minute, you're playing second. Oh, no, you're playing the outfield. Guys are going all over the place, and this guy refuses to go in the field and help out. I mean, now we can break down the pitching and the defense and all this other stuff, but the morale of the team, right? That feeling that, we're all in this together, we're all on the same page. It's not the 25 players, 25 cabs. I mean, when you're losing games by one run, and a lot of times it's because there are errors, because people aren't playing in the position that's supposed to be. I don't know. I think that's a bigger thing than what you would think from just looking quickly from the outside.
Well, it was a focus at the beginning of the year, and it was really something that was brought into the media. And Jared Pond says, we don't expect a lot of things. You know what? No, I disagree with you, Jared. The Boston Red Sox were expected of a lot of things. And people around here, and even the media and the sports media, came out and said that this team, with the talent and the rookie prospects and some of the pitching they got and some of the things they've done, that they could make a run, as Paul said, as a wild card. So I don't think you can sit back and say we didn't expect a lot of things from the Boston Red Sox. I disagree with that. I think there are a lot of things that could have been done there. I know it's tough with the point of Devers as a player who makes this amount of money, Paul. When you make this amount of money and you're going to tell me as a player that I'm not going out there to play third or first because you didn't want me there at the beginning and you wanted me to DH, I find that very hard as an organization, and I find it very hard from a coaching perspective. Now, supposedly Cora is a player's coach, and they talk about it, and they try to figure it out. But at the beginning, when that wasn't working and tensions were high, he batted pretty poorly. And the first month of April and May, he was horrible. And then all of a sudden, he started to turn it around and come around and started to get comfortable. Then Bregman went down. Well, now the talk comes out again. Well, I'm not doing this, and it's about me, me, me. So, yeah, there is some tension, I think. And it could lead to more than just him in management. It could lead to the players on the team with him in management. So, yeah, I think that was a big one at the beginning of the year. Yes.
And the Red Sox are just a few games under 500. So maybe if the team was feeling differently, they could be 2 or 3 games over 500. I mean, they've blown some games because the guys are out of position and stuff like that. So at least I think this is a bigger thing that I think when people look at it, like in terms of, okay, how's the starting pitching doing? How's the middle relief doing? Yeah, when you break it all down in the weeds, that's true. But that little it factor that we always talk about, a team that's all for one and one for all, that's certainly not the case when your top player is refusing to play in the position.
Yeah, I mean, they're 6-15 in one-run games. They're 4-6 in 10 extra inning games, which they lead the majors in. So think about 6-15 in one-run games. Reverse that role, and then maybe reverse the innings in 6-4. You're right where you want to be. So, and it's not like the Yankees and some of these teams are kind of running away. They've had their chances, but the Red Sox have had opportunities to keep this tight and keep it going. And unfortunately for them, they haven't. And it's showing up now right here. Never mind when we get to the dog days of summer, as they call it in baseball.
Well, let's see what our New York guy thinks about all this. As we say, good evening to Nelson from Fall River.
I'm sure he's smiling and grinning.
Smiling and grinning is not even the expression. But yeah, I'll go with that. I can tell you what the problem is.
Yeah.
I could pinpoint. I'm going to put it into something very simple to understand. The Red Sox are so bad, they wouldn't even be able to cook an omelet. This is how it's easy. You crack the egg and you make it. They wouldn't be able to do that. They are just dysfunctional. And I'm going to agree with Devers on this one. With players, you need consistency, right? You need players to be in a rhythm. And once you break that rhythm, the performance will probably start to fall, and you can't do that. So if it's not third base, it's something else, and it's always moving around. You can't do that to players. At certain points, they will help out, but they say don't make promises you can't keep in life, and that's an old adage we hear all the time. So there's expectations on both sides, but as a player, there's nothing wrong with a player standing up for themselves and having the roster figure something out. I mean, we have the trade deadline coming up, so how about they pull some trades, bring somebody in, I guess, to do a fill-in. I don't know how that would work out.
All right, so wait a minute. So you think that the Red Sox may have lied to him about third base, and that ticked them off, and as a result, you have some feelings about Devers, and you can kind of see his position.
Absolutely. Look,
all right. Hang on. I want to hear from my compadre over here.
Absolutely.
What do you think of that, Chris?
So when it first came out and Devers wanted to play third base and they ended up getting Bregman, as soon as they got Bregman, there came the clash right then and there. Not that Devers was this elite third baseman or even bad third baseman, but he wanted that spot. This is my spot. You're taking me out of my spot. And that's what Nelson's trying to say with the rhythm and the rhyme between the player and the coach, that I need to have that everyday feeling. And when they said, okay, we're going with the Bregman route, we'd like you now maybe to move to first. And his first response was, I'm not a first baseman. I'm a third baseman. Okay, then we want you back. You go to DH. So now he coincides, talks to Poppy and says, I'll take the DH role. But now you're looking at, okay, let's go back to third or maybe even to first. But yet you were okay with, you're just going to put me at DH. So the rhythm and rhyme for him is, I want it this way. And the Red Sox organization wants it another way. So Nelson's saying, hey, it's not looking the way that I want it. And again, it goes back to the player, Nelson. It's how they want it. Now, you're making all this money. Are you being a prima donna and saying, hey, I'm going to piss you off because you pissed me off? And that's how it goes. And then the rhythm gets out of sync, and then you can't make the omelet.
Well, let's hope when Bregman comes back from injury, he can stay on there, and we won't have this conversation. But again, what do you expect to expect production from a team who's not even in the contention in the AL East, like the Yankees? See, the Yankees don't have this problem, Mm-hmm. Everyone's producing, no one's complaining, and the man leading the charge, Aaron Judge, smacking home runs. Everyone is happy. But again, like I said, you can't talk greatness with a team who just doesn't have it in them.
Well, Aaron Judge until the playoffs come, of course. That's a whole nother story.
Well, you're right. You're right on that. But I think with Soto gone, after seeing how everything's played out for the Yankees with Soto gone, I think it was the best thing to happen to the Pinstripes because they were able to spread that money around, and everyone's producing. I mean, and you had Chisholm come back on the first day, smacking home runs. He's off the charts, ready to go.
All right, well, wait a minute, Nelson. Wait a minute. We got a comment from a Lucas Ferreira, and he says, how many rings do the Yankees have since 2010?
Let's see. Let's do the math. 27.
No, since 2010.
I get it. But the point is that they want to talk about that. But, and again, I go back to 98, 99, 2000. Who was the only team to win 3 World Series championships, to do a three-peat? It's been 25 years. What team is that?
Well, that's the Yankees. But, we have another call on the line. But before we let you go, Chris, I'll let you do the honors of talking basketball for a moment with our good friend.
Well, first, when he comes out with the 3 in a row in the 90s, Christ, if I would have said in football the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, he would have cursed me. Oh, God, it's been 30 years since the Dallas Cowboys. But now he puts in his beloved Yankees in the 90s, and everything's hunky-dory.
Good story now.
I see how Nelson works. But let's go back to 1973, the last time the Knicks have done anything. And again, maybe it was the Stephen A. curse. It could have been the Nelson curse. Now it's the Tom Thibodeau curse, because Tom Thibodeau is not a New York Knicks coach anymore. And to me, Nelson, I think that's disgusting, because I thought they played pretty good and they were a better team under Tom Thibodeau than the coaches before. So if you're using Tom Thibodeau as a scapegoat, I think that's sad for the New York Knicks organization.
I will end my call with this final comment. I want to thank the person for the question. And again, listen, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. If the Yankees lose, it doesn't matter how long they go. 27 World Championships, no one's catching the Yankees. But to answer your compadre over there, he's on the money with the Knicks. It is absolutely disgusting. Mm-hmm. Thibodeau brought the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for how long since they've been there? And this is how you repay him? Once again, the Knicks get in their own way, and this is going to send a bad vibe at a bad time when we had a bunch of guys all in sync playing really well. It's a sad day for Knicks basketball.
All right, I agree with you guys. I think the coach did a nice job, and so I don't know the theory behind getting rid of him, but I guess we'll see how it turns out. Thank you very much, Nelson, for the usual good call.
You guys have a good one.
All right, that's Nelson from Fall River, one of our favorites. And let's see. Is our next caller there?
Next caller's here.
Yes, it's Butch from Acushnet. Hello there.
What's going on?
Good. What's happening?
Well, that guy, he's called in before, and he's real, but we deserve it at this point. But a couple things. Now, there's enough blame to go around here. Coaching, you can't forget the players. A lot of these players have been playing since they could walk, right, their entire life, and now all of a sudden they forget how to run the bases and do different things. But you know, it's unfortunate. They're last in team defense in Major League Baseball. 53 errors so far this year. Over the last 3 years, they lead Major League Baseball in errors, and they just don't have the offense to overcome those type of mistakes. So it's difficult to. I don't know how you blame the coaches. I'm not sure. Maybe they're too liberal and they don't, they don't hold them accountable to get their reps in and to practice. I'm not sure, but and just as important, the strikeouts are just they're overwhelming. The timeliness of strikeouts and not being able to put the ball in play and just make productive outs. Is killing this team. And I'm not sure what they're going to do about it, but, their pitching has not been too bad. They're like, maybe a little bit below halfway in Major League Baseball as far as ERA, but, man, lately they're starting to get out of their own way. So, I don't know. I think they should bring up a bunch of young guys and see what can happen with them and get them some training. I'm not sure exactly.
All right.
I don't think they can rebound from this. What's good? I mean,
Butch, do you think the clubhouse is a little lost right now under Alex Cora?
I'm an Alex Cora fan, but it's tough to defend him after a couple of things like last night. I thought, not moving the runner over, not punting, especially when they can't put the ball in play. I thought that, and people are going to, criticize me for saying this, but, everybody made a big deal about Devers, including myself. I thought that he was being selfish, and for, $300 and some odd million, he should probably try to do what the coach asked you to do, right? But Cora leaving for the graduation of his daughter and stuff kind of set the tone. Now, I'm going to get some criticism for this, but it just doesn't seem that, baseball is the top priority. And I know that sounds cruel, but it does kind of set the tone. Like, a lot of players are going to have, you don't see them leave, the birth of their parents. I think labor, they have an agreement now with the union where if they're having a child, they can leave, and they have some maternity leave and that type of stuff. But I don't know. I think you're right, Chris. I think the young guys would follow Cora to anything. I think some, they probably would. They're probably good friends, but I don't know, Chris. I don't.
Hey, Butch, try to stay in one spot because you keep going in and out a little bit.
I'm sorry. If they are on the same page as Cora, they don't really have his back. They're not playing hard enough. Some of these errors don't look like, that they give it 100%. So,
well, the thing, a lot of things too, like, you got guys playing out of position now. I don't know if it was last night's game or the other night, got into extra innings, bases loaded, nobody out. And the player hits a one hop at a third. Plenty of time to go home for one, then on the first for the double play. He goes to second for one on the first for the double play. The run scores. Now, you start the bottom of the following inning with a runner on second because you're home, but still, that was a big mistake doing that. And then right before that, there was a bobble at second, and then there was the bobble by the pitcher. But the third baseman there, he's not used to playing over there, so maybe he just automatically went to second. He should have gone home in that situation. So these games are all adding up. You can go back the last month, and you could probably pick 4 or 5 games that there was some kind of a mistake like that. And again, I do think that Devers kind of set the tone, for him to say, "Oh, I'm going to play third now." Now maybe they did lie to him too, so he's like, "Hey, you're begging me to play, DH, and now you want me to go back to third after I didn't want to leave." Well, yeah, because somebody's hurt, So I mean, you go in the old days. I mean, we go back to Dick Williams, but that was a different era. You play or I tell you, or you put your ass on the bench, or one or the other, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you made a good point about last night, Paul, with that the double play. They were at double play depth the whole time, so I think that was the play. That kid did what the coach called for. Now they did a double play, the run stored, and then they have 2 strikeouts with a guy on second for the bottom of the 10th.
Yeah.
I can't believe he didn't go home. Now, do they turn a double play and only get one if they go home? Probably, but still, it would have been a tie game, right?
Right. Before I let Chris go, it seemed to me because it was a one hopper and it was hit hard. I mean, you would have got the one at home easy, but I think you could have turned 2. You could have gone to first.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I
anyway,
agree with you.
What's Chris think about all this?
Butch, I know it's early June. Is this team a seller or a buyer as June and July start coming around? Already hearing it in the media. Duran's names come up. Devers' names come up. A couple of things are going out there and say, well, we got this guy in Pawtucket and we got this guy here. What do you think in that situation for your Red Sox?
I would be very, very disappointed if they got rid of Duran, their leadoff guy. I think he's the future, part of the future. Devers, I mean, it's hard to say, depending on what you get from him, but it's definitely. Let me put it to you this way, Chris. They're not buyers. I mean, they're not buyers. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They're not buyers.
Well,
I don't think that they're buyers at all.
I hate to be this diehard fan here, but I'm looking at this team, right? You do have a cluster of young talent that, a lot of times when you look at a team that ends up in the World Series, and other than just buying free agents, usually it has to do with, who came up through the system and who turned into some terrific players. Most of these players are 1-2 year players, so you don't know where they're going to be. But I don't know, Chris, it feels like this team could turn into something over the next couple of years if you don't start screwing around with it. You know what I mean? Because this cluster of young talent, along with a couple of the, obviously they got a great starter, an ace, right? And then you got the closer. The middle relief is a little shaky, but, welcome to the world of baseball. Everybody's middle relief is shaky. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of young talent with a lot of potential there that could be something in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and this is what I thought of my Baltimore Orioles. I thought the same thing. We had a great franchise. We've got some great prospects that we've brought up, and they started to show what this was all about. And then it came to this year, And I said, okay, this is the year, made the playoffs. Let's turn it around this year. And then all of a sudden, our starting pitcher was terrible. We had nothing. We got rid of our ace. We had some young guys come in. One guy hurt his arm. Another guy is not panning out. And the next thing you know, we're really struggling. So, the same, I think, with the Red Sox. And then you want to come in with those guys and say, well, here's the position I want you in. Let's get locked in with Anthony Campbell and all these guys. So you have it, and now you get ready, as you say, some consistency with this lineup through with these young guns, and then see where they go from there. So, it's a matter of putting everything together. You went out and got paid a lot of money for Story. Unfortunately, Bregman's banged up, but Story's another one that I don't think's produced the way you wanted. Casas is another one that hasn't produced the way they wanted. Nothing against Raphael. He's a good defensive outfielder, but he's not going to really crush the ball on you and help you in that way. So, there's a lot going on that this team could still use some improvement. And I look back to my team, the Orioles, and say, why aren't you doing the same as you did last year? And this is why their coach got fired, and he's already gone in Baltimore. So, a lot happening there, but a lot still needs to be changed with Boston.
Felt like they took too long to bring Meyer up, too. What took them so long? I mean, the kid looks good. You think it's not good to rush them all at the same time? They're kind of doing one at a time. I mean, what's the theory there, do you think?
Well, again, you got to look at, it's only 9 positions. And when you got high money out there to some big guys and they're not in the lineup and you're just playing the rookies, there's a lot going on there that people say, whoa, wait a minute. We just paid a lot of money for this guy and you got him on the bench doing nothing. So, there's a lot, that's
right.
Why coaching and the staff and the organization all have to work together to figure this out. So I don't know if they can throw all those guys that quickly and that fast into that position.
And here's the ideal situation, I think, Paul, when you want to bring up young fellas. I think that you either need like a 10-game lead and you're doing real well and you kind of everybody's clicking, and then you may have an injury, and then you can bring up these folks where there's not a lot of pressure on them to produce because they have a lot of protection in the order. And on the other hand, when we're really sucking, you can bring these guys up because there's not a real lot of pressure to produce because, it's kind of a write-off to begin with. But when you're in Boston and you're 10 games out and people are thinking, hey, we're still in this thing, that's a lot of pressure for young people. Or the young players to come up and think that they have to produce and to get this team over the top. And I think that's where we are,
Right, but you had the injuries to Casas and Bregman, so there was a couple of spots, freeing up there.
Yeah.
How about Trevor Story? I want to ask you guys about Trevor Story.
Boy,
I mean, we got rid of Bogarts, and the thing I didn't like about him, Bogarts was still there. Bogarts was a great guy, he's doing, fair. In the National League, maybe not as good as, the money that he wanted. Although if we had signed him early, I think we would have been all right. There's a guy playing shortstop. You bring Story in and they ask Story, hey, what do you think about playing second base? Well, it's good for this year. And what the hell kind of a statement is that? They already knew what the plan was. The plan was is bring him, let him play second base for you, then shove Bogarts out the door. So that didn't go out well. And you know what? He sucks.
Yeah, Story's a bust. He's straight up, Story's been a bust. He's streaky. He's had some, a couple of good weeks there and there. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stay healthy enough. And then when he is healthy, he's been too streaky, and he just hasn't adapted. It's too bad. That's been a bust for us,
Yeah.
But hey, it's wonderful, huh? The Red Sox out of it before 4th of July.
I was telling my kids who are in their early 30s, they don't know what it's like to have all 4 teams. I mean, the Celtics still have a chance to, come back in the next couple of years. But, all 4 teams are kind of like, not championship caliber. None of them are going to the finals in the next couple of years. Like, this is what it was like for 15 years, for like between the 80s and into the 2000s,
Yeah, it's a tough time to be
They don't know what that's like.
No, they don't, They, what, though? They need it.
That's right. There's sport.
There's a lot of people out there that take all that for granted and don't understand really what it took to have all them championships lined up like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Hey, it's baseball. It's a game. unfortunate, but it's still there's still some time, and we'll see what happens. I feel bad for Alex Cora, but he's getting paid too. I think, what did he get? $21 million or something. So I can't feel that bad for him.
These guys aren't worried about putting pork chops on the table anytime soon,
Not worried. Not like we worry. That's for sure, Paul.
All right, Butch. Well, have your Constitution ready for Saturday morning. All right, that way we can,
I do whip out my Constitution just to make sure I know. I catch you in the hiccup.
All right. Hey, have a great rest of your night. Thank you very much for calling. Great call as usual.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Butch from Acushnet, who was a frequent caller here and on the radio show that I do, the Paul Santos show, Saturday mornings from 7 to 9. That's a much tougher thing to navigate there, Chris, compared to the sports talk,
Oh, I'm sure it is. And you got, a host of topics that you can go over. And so you got to be very knowledgeable, but at the same time, you got to be careful. It can get out of hand sometimes.
People have very strong opinions these days,
Yeah, I'm sure there's some things out there that can go tit for tat. So I'll just stick with the sports part. I don't think you'll hear too much from me.
You think our arguments about Tatum are tough. You should hear some of these topics. Well, anyway, we got a good chance now if you want to call 774-218-3393. I tell people I have only one line. I can put you on hold, but then sometimes it's the calls merge or I accidentally cut somebody off. So we're wide open right now. So again, 774-218-3393. So we're doing the podcast at the same time the Red Sox are on, right? I know they're having an afternoon game. Here they are at 9 to 9. The game's on in the background there. If you're watching the podcast later on, here we are, 9 to 9, ninth inning. Another, scratch the chalkboard. I won't say it's entertaining. I mean, I put the Red Sox on every night. It's like, it's 3-3 in the eighth inning. My wife and I watch them. I got to tell you, I do that. I probably should watch more of the whole game. Sometimes I do watch the whole game, but a lot of times my wife and I are watching a movie or something, So then I pick it up in the 6th, 7th inning. I'm like, it's 3-3 in the 8th, 7th inning. No, it's 2-2. No, going extra innings again. Oh, gee, So these games are like every single night. It's like a nail biter every single night.
Yeah, it sure is. And, this one here, as I look behind me, 9-9, 2 outs in the ninth, you're going, holy cow. So this one might go to the 10th inning as well. Who knows? And the Sox have not been good at that one either. But, let's see if their bullpen can finally hold on to one. So at least they'll go to the bottom of the ninth tied, and maybe they can get a walk-off and keep people happy. And as we go to our comments, Carlos Reese says probably 21 and then says maybe 32. Is that what's wrong with the Red Sox? 21 problems or maybe 32? I'm trying to figure that one out, Paul. Do you know?
No, I don't know what he means by that. I know
probably
Butch just
21, maybe 32.
Right. I don't know what that means. Well, I guess if he's still listening, maybe he can type something else in. Million.
Oh, okay. Right.
Oh, that's Alex Cora. That's what he's talking about.
Okay. All right. Okay, just got to clear it with us, Carlos. We want to make sure we know what we got from the player what he makes. I got you, Carlos. Okay.
I'll tell you, the numbers that these guys make now is just it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of prima donnas, and you sit back and say, well, it's all about me, and you're still trying to win a championship, trying to bring a title home to a city. But right now, you're just going to have to find a way to deal with it. Whether you now say, hey, it's not working the way we want to, let's start all the young guys, bring all these guys up and let it flow and see what happens. Or do we make some moves? Do we see what, not say, the year's over and get ready for next year, but they're going to have to do something because what's happening is not working. And Alex Cora just said that last night.
As far as sellers, right, I wouldn't sell any of this young talent. I mean, unless maybe one of them or something like that they want to move. But, getting rid of Duran, the speed that he has, the only thing I would say about him is I'm looking at his on-base percentage. It seems like he's too much of a swinger. You're the leadoff guy, and he's got all that speed. He should be working the count, and trying to get on base. Now, some guys don't like to do it that way, you know what I mean? But a guy like that, his on-base percentage should be at least 400, you know what I mean, to get on base because his speed is unbelievable. When you see it on television, I saw him for the first time, I think it was last year. I was at one of the games. I'm like, holy crap, this dude can fly.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, he can run when he he hits the turn going into first, it's, he just can't wait to get to second and possibly just turn the Jets and keep going to third. But yeah, he's fun to watch. And again, it's a different game, Paul, where everybody swings for the fences. I don't get it, but it's kind of a different style, and that's how they do it. As you can see over my shoulder there, Red Sox coming up in the bottom of the ninth to see if they can finally win one here against the Angels.
Yeah, look at all these batting averages. I mean, they don't even pay attention to batting average anymore, right? See you guys batting 220, 230, but they're trying to hit home runs, and supposedly the analytics say that, in the long run, you end up better off like that. But it is a different game. And one of the things that's different, too, is, we're talking about Alex Cora, right? And it's like, well, maybe he could have handled the Devers thing differently. But, he's not making these decisions all by himself. The owner had to fly out there and talk to him and everything else. So it's not like Alex Cora can say, hey, you, Devers, go to third base. That's it. I'm the manager. He's got to, run that up the chain. And if the people up the chain are like, hey, leave him alone, the only thing I would say about that is it did seem like, and you pointed it out, he got hot. We got a base. No, play it shortstop. He's out. Sorry. I thought that one was getting through. No, he got hot when he became the DH, right? So I thought to myself, he was batting like 500 when he became the DH. He got comfortable. I was like, Jesus, maybe you got to just leave him alone, at least while he's hot. But now that he's kind of like, he's not gone cold, but he's kind of like, kind of his old self, like hitting whatever he's hitting. Geez, I don't know how that would, putting him at third base, would mess up his ability to hit the ball. You know what I mean? And it would help the club.
You would think so. And, and again, if you watch what Cora has done with him, he's starting to move him around in the order, batting first, batting third, batting fourth, batting second. He's kind of jumping with him and trying to get some other guys. So they're trying to get some feel out there and some fillers to say, what's best for this team and how can we keep him happy? How can we keep everyone happy and get it going? So maybe they can, maybe they can't, but hopefully, they figure something out and they figure something out quickly. And Paul, what's your status on Crochet? I mean, again, you're coming from Chicago, who was not a very good ball club in a couple of years that he happened to be there. So you're taking a shot on a guy with a team that, wasn't that great, but he's come in, I think, and done a pretty good job as your number one pitcher.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited about him. In fact, he wanted to stay in the game. I mean, there was one game where they pulled him out of 85 pitches, and, of course, middle relief is so bad that, they got bombed after that, and it's like, what a waste. So then this last game, he wanted to stay in over 100 pitches.
Yeah, I watched the Yankees last night, and the guy from Cleveland, his last name is Bibee, Bibee. And when I turned the game on, he was up to 107 pitches. I was flabbergasted. I don't think I remember the last time I seen a guy go over 100 out getting yanked, because that's all they do nowadays. They want to go 5 innings, maybe 6, and then they yank them and put a guy in the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th, and then see what happens. So I was kind of surprised to see that last night, 107 pitches before they finally took him out.
Well, a good comment there by Lucas Ferreira. Crochet is the only time the Sox are worth watching every 5 days. Well, that's when I watch the game from the beginning, when I know he's pitching, because he can be nasty. And I just enjoy the way he works the fastball in there. Is that a home run? That is a home run. It's a walk-off home run. Oh, mama. Well, right down the pesky pole.
They put it around pesky pole. Rafaela just threw the bat down the right field line, and it went down because he's not known for this traumatic power. But when it's only like 215 down there, I guess it works for you.
I thought it was a foul ball. I was kind of looking out of the corner of my eye, and then I saw everybody jumping up and down, and I'm like, holy crap, it's a walk-off home run. Oh, mama, well, okay.
That's how it goes. So there you go, Paul. That will make this broadcast and you happy for the rest of the night.
Well, now you can call us, you Red Sox fans that are out there, 774-218-3393, a walk-off home run, and there's the replay, and the ball went right inside. Oh, my goodness. Right in the first row. Let's see.
Wow.
Yeah, right in the first row. 302 down the right field line. I'm trying to see who that was. Who was that hit the home run?
Listen, I know Butch Ferreira is still listening. My softball fans would say that's like hitting a home run to Ashley Park in right field over a high fence in the right corner to get a home run. So I remember those parks back in my day.
Oh my God, the first row just after the pesky pole. Wow. How about that? All right. Well, if you're out there, 774-218-3393. I know you're watching the Red Sox. Oh man, that was exciting. Okay, so how many games under 500 are we now? Like I'm thinking if they could just put together like say like a 5-game winning streak and we got back to 500, we'd probably be within a few games of that wild card. You know what I mean? Like we still have a shot here, Chris.
Well, right now that makes you 30-34, Paul. 30-34.
That's where we are now?
Yes, and you're 10 games behind the Yankees.
Yeah, but what about the wild card?
So that one right there, well, the Rays are 6.5. Toronto's 6.5. The Twins and Guardians, they're all around the same too. So, yeah, I'd probably say about 7 games, something like that.
7 games from the wild card. Oh, so that you got all kinds of teams you got to hop over and everything else. Hey, that was exciting. I mean, anybody that's at a game like that, you know, I've been at walk-off home runs. It looks like it was Cedar Rafaela,
the
one who hit the home run. Cedar, he's been hot lately. And you know, when you're hot, balls start dropping in and things start happening. They keep showing the fans that have those seats right next to the pesky pole. And I've sat down there before and seen a few home runs, but not just on the other side of the pesky pole. That is unbelievable. In the first row, 302 feet down the right field line. I mean, even Yankee Stadium is a little deeper than that at the pole, you know?
So if I go down there on the pole, it's going to say live show by Paul Santos written on Pesky's pole.
Yeah, I'll have to write something on pesky pole. Next time I'm coming, I'm going to write in Santos on Sports, you know?
Well, now that makes them, let's see, 7-15 in one-run games. So,
okay.
You know, that keeps them going. And they've been walk-off losers of 7, but now they get a walk-off win. So
there's still 4 games under 500. Is that right?
Yeah. You turn some of those games around, as Lucas said in his comments. Be a little bit of different conversation, but it is what it is.
Would have been gone at Yankee Stadium too, he says. Well, it's short down that right field line too, and there's a little draft blowing through the new Yankee Stadium. But hey, that's exciting. I mean, if you go to a game and it's a walk-off home run, I keep saying to people that I go to games with, I say, I've been to a lot of games, fortunate to go to a lot of games. I want to be there when the Red Sox hit a walk-off home run. Walk-off single. I've been there for walk-off doubles and things. I want to be there for a walk-off home run.
Yeah, and I think the one about today was, Paul, it's not 1-0. It's 9-8. You saw some runs. You saw a lot of good things happen for you. Going up until June 1st, the Red Sox, this is interesting stat, Paul. The Red Sox are the only team up until June 1st that were never shut out.
Right, I saw that. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And they finally got shut out by the Atlanta Braves 5-0. Other than that, they've never been shut out, and all the other teams have. So, it's a crazy stat, but that's how games work.
Yeah, I'm looking at these young players, and, whether it's, say Don Rafaela or, we've talked about Meyer, of course, so they're not going to do anything with him. Even Campbell, he's kind of put into a difficult spot. He could still come around and be all right. Like Butch was saying, maybe he was a guy that they shouldn't have rushed. But I don't know. He was doing all right at first, and he kind of cooled off. But he's still a young player. He's a rookie, So you put all these young players together. You add a Crochet, and you add a good closer, which we have right now. And I don't know. I think the team, the team could be a wild card contender the next couple of years. The problem is now they've dug themselves such a big hole that to try to dig out of that hole now. But I still am optimistic about this young core.
Listen, it again, we're just in the beginning of June. It's not that bad, Butch was talking about going into July. Let's see what the month of June and some of July brings forth, and let's see if they get a little run. And if you get that little win a couple of series here and there, and the next thing you gain some confidence. Maybe get some guys back and feel healthy, and hopefully the rookies start to produce the way you like it. You never know. So I'm still optimistic about this team, Paul. I mean, they're not my team, but I'm kind of been keeping an eye on them to see what they do. compared to my own. But, they got some pieces of the puzzle. And I think one of their weaknesses is the errors, the timely hitting, and obviously the middle relief pitching. I just think that needs to get so much better for them.
Yeah, well, I saw was the Kelly that came in. I mean, this boy,
Yeah.
he came in, he got bombed. I mean,
Yeah.
and as soon as he came in, I'm like, this poor guy. I mean, and then some of the ERAs. One of them has like an ERA of 9, and I'm like, this guy, and it's difficult too because you got Crochet or some of the starters, not just Crochet, but Crochet in particular, as indicated by Lucas. Pitches such a great game, gets into the 6th, 7th inning, and they push them over 100 pitches, like you said. You don't see that too often.
Yeah.
And then it's like you see these guys in the bullpen. I'm like, oh Jesus, here goes a nice performance that's going to go down the drain because they don't have middle relief. Middle relief, it's kind of where you go if you're not a starter and you're not a closer. You're that level that's third down the chain that ends up middle relief. But it's very important to have at least a couple of pitchers in there, lefties and righties, that can get you, that bridge you between, the 6th inning and the 9th inning, especially the way they do the game today.
Yeah, and the other day in the first game against the Angels, they started Fitz, who they were supposed to be really high on. I mean, he gives up 6 runs in the first inning, 2 home runs, one by Trout and another guy, Adele. And next thing you know, they're behind the hole, and they almost came back in the game. But you just got to find a way to shut that down early and get your offense going. So just some things have not gone their way, unfortunately. Today, it happened to work out for them, and they get the walk-off.
I'll tell you, Trevor Story's kind of been like the Porzingis of the Red Sox, except he's back in there now. But, and Bregman, that was so disappointing that it's the same type of injury, a hamstring, except to the other leg. And I'm like, wow, you can hurt it that bad that you're going to be out for 2 months. I'm like, gee, I mean, that's a big one because, you add Bregman to this lineup, you take him out of the lineup, you basically have, Duran and Devers, and then it kind of drops off after that, and so that's a big loss, obviously a huge loss. And even Casas, I don't know, he seemed like he was a little overrated. He wasn't really hitting that well, but, maybe he would have come around. We don't know that. But then the injury to him and the injury to Bregman, and the errors and people playing out of position and Devers not going in there and whatever's going on, you put all that together, all those 1-1 losses, as you said, because you just hung in there a little longer in some of these games, they could easily be a couple games over 500, no questions.
Yeah, so Devers had a ribby today. Abreu had 2. Navarez had 1. Maya had 1. Toro had 2 ribbies. Rafaela, obviously, at the end there, the 2 ribbies. Hamilton with 2 ribbies as well. Story was a pinch hitter today. He came in and then played shortstop. He was 0 for 1, but did get on base and scored a run. So, they got a little bit more production from some different players, and they're going to continue to need that besides just relying on one guy. So it's nice to see a lot of runs scored by them today, and hopefully that kind of jumpstarts them and keeps the momentum going.
All right, if you'd like to jump in, give us a call at 774-218-3393 during our final segment here on Santos on Sports. Paul Santos and Chris Santos, happy to be chatting with you today. Always fun to talk sports. And Lucas Ferreira saying that Toro was awful. Same with Romy. But these guys could come around, couldn't they?
Well, I think Lucas is talking about, not a one-game wonder. We're talking about, the whole season and how good is this guy for the season. So he doesn't think that Toro is very good and wouldn't last for the season. And the same with Romy, excuse me. So, I can see maybe where he's coming from there. But, they may use these guys as a not everyday player, but get in here and there, pinch it here, pinch it there, maybe take one day off here to help out a guy and help them for one day, things like that. So, there's a bunch of guys that the Red Sox have right now. And I think Cora's just trying to mix and match and just find some chemistry to kind of get the flow and the turn of this team and get them around and winning some more games.
Nothing solves camaraderie and the feel of a team like winning.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to find a way to keep it going.
Right around the corner is the NFL. and I know we're still a ways away, but we have a few
Yep.
minutes left here. The Celtics. I mean, not the Celtics. Well, we'll get to them in a second. But as far as the Patriots, right? What do you think about them? I mean, they did add some pieces. They ended up drafting the left tackle right away. Obviously, they signed Diggs, and now Diggs is a little bit of controversy being on the boat with all the young ladies and what did he have in the bag and all that stuff. So, where do you think the thing's headed? I mean, the quarterback, we really don't know what he's going to be. I thought he was pretty good, but he lost some games on the clutch there at the end. I know he had his hands full, but what do you think about the additions that the Patriots have made so far? And I know it's early.
It improves them from last year. So, it doesn't matter what they have on paper. It's what you can perform on the field. But, when you look at the paper, you'd have to sit back and say, yeah, I think we've shaped up some of our offensive line, which was a struggle. We've gone out and got some running backs. We've gone out and got some receivers. We're trying to produce better on paper, and then we're going to show in preseason, and then we'll show, once the week starts. But right now, you have to be optimistic that things definitely look better than what they were last year. So there's promise in Patriot land.
What do you think about the off-the-field stuff? Like you have this Stephon Diggs thing. He's on the boat with the ladies twerking or whatever they were doing, and then he reached in, and it appeared that there may have been drugs there. They haven't been able to prove exactly what it was. But the off-the-field stuff, right, to the extent that it's could potentially be leaking into, and again, it's early, but leaking into this whole thing that Vrabel's trying to do. Vrabel's trying to do this whole thing where, there's a different culture now, and we're going to be disciplined, and we're not going to misbehave off the field and all this stuff. And right at the beginning, here's a veteran, getting into a little bit of a jam.
Well, this is a guy coming from another team. This is not a New England Patriot guy. This is someone from somewhere else. So he might be used to being a little bit more, laissez-faire, as we say, and just kind of go about his business and do it his way. So they're going to handle this in-house, Paul. And Vrabel has already spoke about that. And they're going to get to the bottom of it, and they're going to do it their way. And Diggs says he'll accept whatever comes, and he'll listen to what New England tells him, and they'll go from there. So, it's not what you want. You want a guy who you would hope you got him to be a leader of the receiving corps, because he's been, a veteran and showed a lot of promise with some of the other teams he's been with. But at the same time, is he a bad egg? Is he something that, could really get this team down and not be, working together and have to worry about his antics instead of football?
I see Lucas Ferrara commenting, Stephon Diggs, big boat guy.
Yep.
All I can think of is you're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah, and nobody will care about that boat if the guy gets open and scores TDs, Paul.
That's right, exactly.
All of a sudden, he's scoring TDs. People ain't going to talk about the boat or the pink candy, all this other crap that he's doing. They're just going to be happy because he's scoring touchdowns.
And Lucas also says at least they're not dealing with Jordan Hudson.
Yeah, Jordan Hudson. Yeah, she's got the Carolina blue right now. So just stay down over there. We're right next to your hubby, and you'll be happy.
I think she's got him wrapped around her finger. That's what I think.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it's that obvious, right?
You think?
When I first heard this story, I got to do a whole show on this when I'm on the radio, because it has a little bit of a crossover.
Oh.
Here's the thing, right? When I first heard the story, I pictured this sort of like young girl who's kind of innocent, and she's wowed by this big celebrity. And she gets excited by the fact he's a big celebrity, and like what happened like with a basketball player or a big movie star or something like that. No, it's the other way around. This guy's sitting there, and she's like, well, I'll suck up to this old stiff, and he'll fall for me, and next thing you know, I'll have a $10 million house. Okay, I got to do what I got to do a couple times a month to keep this guy happy, And so, it's like, hey, it's better than working at Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I mean? So, I think it's the other way around, when she's like barking out orders and saying, hey, we're not going there in the interview and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, my God. The family's like worried about Bill. I think Bill's got stars in his eyes. He thinks he's back in high school or something, and he's not seeing things clearly, I don't think.
Paul, I want to know right now, how many jokes have you used on the Paul Santos live show about Bill and Miss Hudson right now. Have you used a few already?
Oh no, yeah, no, I've used quite a few actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, no, it's I gotta tell you, like most people would say, hey, they're both adults. It's none of my business. Nobody's committing any crimes or anything like that.
Mhm.
But there is something cringy about it that, 20 years is something, 25, but this right here, this is like a grandfather with like a girl that just got out of high school. It just like, you see the face I'm making, it makes you just want to go like, something ain't right there. You know what I mean?
Well, Carlos Reese says, this is New England.
Yeah, it's New England, not Mississippi. Bing bang, there's another one for the other show. No, I mean, geez, I don't have any. Well, you have a daughter. I don't have a daughter, but I do have a granddaughter. I mean, dating a 70-year-old. Wouldn't dad be like? What are you doing here? Wouldn't you? I mean, you can't change them. You can't stop them from doing what they want to do when they're adults, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously, families.
Plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth. Carlos says, yeah. Well, families are families, and obviously. Some will entertain this a little bit more than others, and some would say that what's the big deal? Others would say this is disgusting. Others will say, hey, just let it play out. So it depends on what morals and values as a family man.
Well, when my wife, the good answer there, the good answer. No,
smart answer.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was in Florida with my wife. We ran into some friends, and somehow that came up with a Bill Belichick. And the guy said, if that was my daughter, I go and I beat the guy up. I said, well, you can't really do that. But, so he was like really protective. You know what I mean? I guess everybody has a different view on that.
Yeah, I mean, so others might say, well, she's an adult now. She can do whatever she wants. There's all kinds of things that can go on. But when she gets involved in the football aspect of this, Paul, in what he's doing as his job, then I kind of go, what's this all about? That would kind of be a little strange to me.
Hey, back in the old days, Chris, we used to say that's a long distance call. Nobody thinks about that anymore because you pick up your phone and you could be talking to somebody on the other side of the planet.
Sure.
But I kind of do have a long distance call coming in. This one's coming in from Charlton, South Carolina. Say hello to Lucas Ferreira. Hey, Lucas.
Oh, hey.
What's going on, fellas? Chris, love the hat. Although some more Citadel garb might be more suiting.
But I was going with the shirt, Lucas, just trying to match.
We can live with CFC.
So thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. We've enjoyed your typing comments, but it's great to hear your voice as well.
Much appreciated. I think you guys do a great job with the show. I love tuning in. Sometimes a little more convenient to be in the chat, but love to let my voice hit the airwaves as well once in a while too.
Well, speaking of the voice on the airwaves, we've been following your career along with your posts and your links and everything else, and I think it's fantastic. I wish you the best for people that are listening. Sports broadcasting is what this gentleman does, and he's doing quite well.
Much appreciated. Just trying to keep the dream alive and keep going down here, and it's been a fun time.
So what's going on down in South Carolina? What are you doing down there?
I'm director of video production at the Citadel, so all the ESPN Plus productions and whatnot are run through me. So we did 79 of 81 athletic events last year, 80 of 82 in total with the new athletic director press conference, and then just freelance stuff on side of that. So I worked for the conference tournament additionally the week before, which was exciting. That picked up some national headlines, and then was in Atlanta for a video conference. So that's the fun stuff that I've been up to.
See, that's fantastic.
And Paul works for the Charleston River Dogs, where I picked up this hat one day at the ballpark. So I happened to be visiting and said, hey, let's stop in and we'll see Lucas at the River Dog game. Picked up a nice Citadel hat, picked up a College of Charleston hat. So it was a fun time watching the Charleston River Dogs.
And by the way, I can't pick up any New England accent there. I think you've kind of, handled that pretty well.
He's
That's the
changed
first
already.
thing they
Huh?
tell you. That's the first thing they tell you in broadcasting. Get rid of the New England accent.
Yeah, I mean, I interned for Danny Picard back in the day. He used to always tell me that. I like the Boston accent for some of the radio guys, but he says he used to catch all kinds of heat for it. So, it'll give and take. I don't have a drawl yet. I think I'm neutral at this point. Although every once in a while I'll get caught and someone will tell me to repeat something, and I'm like,
Lucas, if things slow down for you there down south, I know how things can be real fast and upbeat up here in New England, and kind of a little slower, and take your time down there down south. Or are you still, flying all the way through it?
There is nothing slow about college athletics in the year 2025. I'll put it. That's the best way I can put it.
So it's fair to say you root for the Boston teams. You haven't shed any loyalties or anything like that?
Well, I mean, Saints fan in football, and then other than that, I'm pretty much a Boston guy. Although the NBA, I'm kind of just neutral. Bruins, I'll root for from a hockey perspective, although I just appreciate the sport. And then the Red Sox, I'm loyal to the Red Sox.
I didn't know you were a Saints fan. How long?
Girlfriend's a Yankees fan, but Red Sox all the way.
Yeah, big Drew Brees guy right there, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to say, were you a Saints fan when they were winning? They won that Super Bowl with Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I didn't really follow football up until like that time period, and then I watched an E60 on Drew Brees post Katrina and everything he did for the people down there, and I was like, 9 or 10 years old at that time, and I was like, you kind of starting to learn the world of sports and humanity and the blend of everything, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm going to follow that story, and then I order up a jersey at Christmas. They win the Super Bowl that year. It's tough to say no. I mean, it's been kind of troublesome since, but
well, that's a good reason to root for a team. A classy guy like that you kind of root for. And I got to tell you, boy, did they get the shaft the year that the call was not made for the pass pass interference? Yeah, they really blew that call. They should have had another Super Bowl there.
Yeah, Minnesota, the Minneapolis Miracle year is the one that they should have won another one, but they didn't. But that was, I don't know if they had it in them the year that they would have had to play that New England team, but I think the year before was the one that they had a better chance.
Right.
But they definitely got screwed more in the the Rams game for sure.
All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for listening in. Don't be a stranger. Give us a call if you ever have the opportunity to. I know you're a busy guy, or even type in like you do. We always enjoy those. And again, thank you very much for calling.
No problem. I want to leave you guys with one thing.
Yes,
if
sir.
the Red Sox are 15-7 in one-run games and not 7-15, what are the conversations like? That's it. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you very much.
Man.
The conversation would be quite different. Okay, so we got a call from Charlton, South Carolina. Wow, that's a good one there. That might be the longest one, I think. Oh, we got a lady from Florida.
We have Chicago.
Chicago, of course. Yeah, I haven't heard from the Windy City in a while.
Well, he's had his ups and downs, and I'll see if I can reach out to him to see if he can get back. But Charleston's a fun place, and I've been there to visit Lucas. The young man's doing an outstanding job. I remember him first, coming up and starting around here, just helping out with the New Bedford Cable Network, and then doing his own thing and podcast, and just moving on from there. He's moving at such a fast rate, Paul. It's a great success story, and I just hope he keeps it going to bigger and better things. Because he's just an outstanding kid.
All right. Well, thanks to the callers who called in today, not only Lucas, but also Butch and Nelson. Yep. And for the people who have commented, like Carlos Reese. Yep. And I think we had another individual earlier on that commented. Yeah, Jared Pont at the beginning told us to stop crying, us Red Sox fans. We'd like to take the opportunity to thank Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John Seed. All right, Chris, let's see what happens. That walk-off felt pretty good. I liked it.
Well, Paul, hopefully my team can start to turn things around as well. And I root for you, you root for me, and, we'll be one big happy family. So let's see what it looks like in a week from now or 2 weeks, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more to see where we're going from there.
That may never happen again, that there's a walk-off while we're actually on the air. We try not to be on the air when there's a game on. But, a walk-off win while we're on the air, that never happened before. It probably will never happen again.
Yeah, correct.
All right, for Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos. Thanks a lot for looking in, and we'll talk to you again soon here on Santos on Sports.